Hello community, PLAYERIG'N here. Today we're going to showcase my new gun models. Here we have the AWM with the suppressor, the bipod, a 10x scope, and of course there's a satchel in the back for your bullet loops, but it doesn't show right here. We also have some new animations for our magazine-fed pump-action shotgun. This is an image of it of you loading in the magazine and you pump the bullets into the chamber. This is just a tactical reload. Then we have the actual gun itself in first person, without the skin and with the skin. Same thing but on the side. I'm gonna show this again. Very cool. We'll show this reload. I really like this reload animation. Not a lot of guns show a magazine-fed pump-action shotgun being reloaded. So I think gun fanatics will really appreciate uniqueness here. Yeah. Now, another thing I want to show you guys today is bullet casings. If you look at PUBG's, for example, and we're going to use a vector from PUBG because I also have a vector in my game, so we can see and compare side by side the similarities and differences. So for example, if we try equip an SMG vector, Chris vector, person, if you try to shoot, right, you're gonna notice pay attention to the bullet being ejected, and then I'll shoot on the ground just to compare. Right, it lasts for maybe 1 to 2 seconds. Let's see what happens if I try to move while shooting. What happens to the bullet casings? Interesting. Okay, interesting. Okay, so we have a comparison to, we have a reference point to compare PUBG's vector to my vector, and we'll see like what I do differently. Cool. Like we do ADS, right? All of a sudden, it becomes obvious that my bullet ejector shoots at a lower angle. The casings are being shot at a lower angle, and also my bullets also last much longer. I believe they last somewhere between 20 to 30 seconds. The reason why I did this is because imagine you're in the middle of a gunfight, right? And you're pushing somebody and you hear gunshots. You move here and all of a sudden you see a pile of bullets. So you have confirmation that this was the exact location where the last guy was. He wasn't shooting up here, right? He wasn't shooting over here. He wasn't shooting here. He was shooting here when he saw those pile of bullets. So you know that once you push at this angle, that he really only has 2 directions to move to, either around this corner or down this hallway. So it just makes things much easier for the player to understand situations easier, right? I think when you give information like this more accurately, it encourages people to use less cheats, because you're essentially giving people intuitive information without having to rely on wall hacks. And so people just naturally don't need to buy cheats to get the same amount of information when they're doing a push. And I also think it just makes the game a little bit more realistic as well. So it doubles down on both factors, immersion and also a little bit of an anti-cheat, right? Because a lot of people think about anti-cheat only in the perspective of like a program software anti-cheat. They're not thinking about how you can design a game in a certain way to reduce the incentives for trying to even buy cheats in the first place. So this is sort of like an empathy factor, being put in the shoes of somebody who's playing the game. Look at the bounce on that. The bounce on that is pretty cool. Also, another thing about my vector that's different from PUBG's vector, I believe, is when you shoot this, it shoots perpendicular, right? It shoots quite perpendicular to the vector, meaning that it shoots straight out of the slots. Now if you look at my gun, my vector, I did the angle just a little bit differently. I didn't do it at like a perpendicular angle. I actually changed the angle and moved it straight forward a little bit. So it's not just shooting like perpendicular, it's actually shooting forward. And this is actually unique to the Vector. Because in a lot of guns, for example, if you look at the Mark 14, a lot of high caliber rifles, the bullets actually eject backwards over your shoulder. Right? So the bullet is actually ejecting towards you. Right? It's going behind the gun. But when you look at a Vector, it's actually going forward. It's actually shooting forward. Now this is actually a feature almost unique to like the Vector. That's a little bit of a detail that I looked up about the Vector. I was paying attention to the angle because I believe like this is more of a 15 to 20 degree angle like upwards. Whereas I believe in PUBG's it looks almost like a 60-degree angle upwards. A little bit of realism to that. And also I didn't make all of the bullet ejection like the same velocity. I made them different velocities in accordance to like what caliber rifle and ammo type they're using. Right? And also when you're moving, it also affects how the bullet casing moves as well. So if I'm moving right, if I'm moving left, it sort of behaves differently, right? And also when you're moving, it also reacts much more erratically. Because it moves around like much, you know, wildly, not just in a straight line. If I'm moving forward and backwards, it also like does that. Now, if you notice that like when I was shooting while moving, you may have noticed that like my screen is like moving a lot. It's almost as if my recoil is going out of control. The reason why is because when you're moving and shooting in my game, movements actually affect your recoil. If you're moving right, your recoil actually moves like right, like moves rightwards by a lot, not just by a little. And then also at the same time, second reason for that is because in my game, your magazine capacity, your bullets, actually affects how heavy your gun is. So the heavier your gun is, the less recoil this is. So the heavier your gun is, the less recoil there is, and then the lighter your gun is, the more recoil. So I actually did that intentionally, you know, did that into account. So it's actually like 3 AM in the morning, so I'm kind of like, you know, falling asleep, but I thought it was really cool and that it was worth showing. So this is all procedural, by the way. This is not like handmade. This is all procedural, meaning that I actually programmed all of these. One feature that I also did was I made the bullets slightly bigger. So they're actually not 1-to-1 scale. Once they touch the ground, they actually double in size. This is just to make it so that they're more visible on the ground. Because if I don't double them, then somebody's shooting me in the background. Because if I don't double their size, you won't be able to see these. They're just tiny. Yeah, my game is looking pretty good so far. Oh, actually, I think this looks really cool. Check this out. If I try to shoot, right? I love how it's like changes direction like that. It's almost like that's really cool. Like I love how the bullets just reacts like that. It's based on like your angular. Well, I can't speak anymore. You know, I'm gonna go sleep. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.